أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي واجعلني وزيرا من أهلي هارون أخي أشدد به أزري وأشركه في أمري كي نسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بصيرا ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم وصلى اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Inshallah everybody's enjoying Ramadan and trying to engage with the Quran, which is also called the month of the Quran, and trying to get our spirits acquainted with the meaning that we get so that we get the proper guidance on how to live and in a purposeful way, the way we are meant to live. And hopefully it's all touching us and we are seeing that our Lord is communicating with us to our spirit and bringing us good news as we journey in this universe. So inshallah, we'll continue with our discussion on, which is the 10th word, on resurrection and the hereafter. And as we've been going through many different aspects, indications for the need that there must be a hereafter, and in these indications, we're trying to see that why this universe is, why is man here in this world, what is he here for, why is he given existence, and why is he given all these amazing qualities to engage with. These are very human, essential questions to ask and to wonder about. And of course, the one who made us did not leave us without any answers. It would be weird or strange that, I'm given all these questions, but there's no answer for those kind of questions. And that's why it was necessary that there must be an employee or a messenger that he employs, as we discussed in the previous indication, a teacher who would show us and exemplify how to live and be the example, be the model, as well as teach us and bring us back into our human, proper human being. So let's go on and let's read the third indication, and then we can discuss the third and the fourth, whatever, our all you friends, if you have any comments or saying, just go right in. You can also put in the chat box or also raise your hand, whatever you feel, just feel free. All right, so the third indication: let it not be thought that petty man is too insignificant for this vast world to be brought to an end and another realm to be unfolded, simply for the sake of his being brought to account. Let it not be thought that petty or small, insignificant man or is too insignificant for this vast world to be brought to an end and another realm to be unfolded simply for the sake of his being brought to account. For apparently petty man bears great importance as the master of all creatures. Petty man bears great importance as the master of all creatures by virtue of the comprehensiveness of his disposition, as the herald of God's monarchy, and the manifester of universal worship. Also, let nobody ask, how can one earn eternal torment In the course of a very brief life, how can one earn eternal torment in the course of a very brief life? For unbelief seeks to drag creation. Unbelief seeks to drag creation, something as valuable and exalted as a letter written by God, down to the depths of meaninglessness and purposelessness. Unbelief seeks to drag creation, something as valuable and exalted as a letter written by God, down to the depths of meaninglessness and purposelessness. It is an insult to all beings, since it denies and rejects the manifestations and impresses of God's sacred names that are visible in all beings. And it seeks to negate all the infinite proofs. So unbelief seeks to negate all the infinite proofs that demonstrate the veracity and truthfulness of God Almighty. Hence, unbelief is a crime of infinite proportions. Infinite proportions, deserving of infinite punishment. All right, so let's discuss this a little bit, see what you guys have to say, inshallah. Please share whatever you think about this, about petty man, small man. If you look at the whole scale or vastness of the universe, man could just be like a dot in that whole universe. And it would seem like, what would a dot matter in the whole grand scheme of the universe? If you can see in terms of scales, there are planets that are larger. And if you study in the planets, you would see Earth is also a very small kind of planet compared to the many other planets. I mean, they're not just this galaxy, there are many other. Scientists may claim that there are many galaxies. So human being really falls into a very small dot, if you think about it. But then there is something in the human being that we find ourselves with, something that is given to us. And that human quality, I would say, those humanness into whatever the heart and the reasoning, intellect, those feelings, those senses that human being is given, is what makes the human being a true human being. That's what gives the value, the significance, although he's a dot, but what he is capable of in terms of embodying the whole universe and seeing that everything is coming from the one who makes the whole universe. You can get to know, decipher all the different qualities when you engage with everything in the universe, can make sense of them. And that quality is only given to, a human being finds themselves with that particular quality. So the small human being now bears the great importance as the master of all creatures. And by virtue of the comprehensiveness of his disposition, as the author is saying, so in this particular sentence, for apparently petty man bears great importance as the master of all creatures by virtue of the comprehensiveness of his disposition. So the way man is made is very comprehensive in terms of, if we look at ourselves and see what are we as human beings, how come we are able to engage with the rest of the universe, we are able to study and decipher all the different qualities, the meanings, different areas, specialties that we are all engaged in, the progress in terms of civilization that is going on, shows that man has that capacity for continuous learning. So that is how the comprehensiveness of human being is. And I see there's a hand up. So Sharani family, please may go ahead and make your comments.
I'm wondering if it is, if it's saying that that human beings in particular are amongst all of God's creation have the unique ability to understand the depth of meaning and purpose and his full names. Is that true, or is there any other creation that is able to do so?
All right, thank you for that question. I'm not an expert in terms of, like I haven't studied all the other creation, but if I just look at myself, and if I look at the things around me, I can look at the sky, the trees, the clouds, the car. There are a lot of other things, these insects. And in terms of how I make sense of them, how I look at them, the intelligence part and the reasoning part, I think the human being is, and the consciousness especially, like being aware that, I am aware of the things that are around me, around the universe, or if I look at the table or the laptop or anything else in terms of creation. I mean, there are definitely, as you said, there are like many different kinds of creations. And the topic mostly that we'll focus on is the human being's creation, but I'm sure there are many other creations. And then human being is able to make sense of all these different kinds of creations. But if anybody would like to state anything or would like to add?
Sure, yeah. Just to add on to what you said and thinking about the comment and the question as well, and pretty much what the author is presenting is, like you said, Austin, starting with my own existence. I observe things, I interact with the universe, and it's a constant journey where I'm definitely discovering something new to learn and experience every day. I'm not saying anything new, but I'm just summarizing what I took away from what has been shared thus far. And so, as far as I'm concerned, definitely within myself, I have this awareness and consciousness that feel things, that discover things, that get to know things. And obviously from there's a lot of deduction that I can make, or I can extract some meaning, just like the questionnaire also mentioned. We utilize this existence in our experience of the universe to extract meaning. So thus far, the whole human journey is very experiential, and it's something that I, as the individual or the human being, experiences along with the rest of creation. Now, there was another point that I really enjoyed from the author, is that he's really, again, drawing our attention to who we are, that we are really rich individuals full of potentialities. And so definitely all this must point to something. It cannot be meaningless. So just like a book is written by an author to convey something, there's meaning and message in it. I'm free to just leave it on my shelf or, bag and not communicate with it. But in its essence, the book is very rich and full of meaning. Similarly, you and I and the rest of creation and the universe is also like a book, very meaningful. And, the author says as if it's like a letter written by the creator of the universe. And so it ought to be read. And so if something is made with such meaningfulness, or like that brings benefit to us, or that's very sophisticated, then it cannot be purposeless or meaningless. So I mean, I am free to make it meaningless in terms of not interact with it. So then obviously uh, one experiences the consequence of such attitude.
Thank you, Fariha.
I
Yeah,
also
go ahead.
I also notice how much I hate the hellfire, and I hate the idea of the hellfire, and I hate the idea of myself or others going to the hellfire, especially for eternity. And I'm also questioning, like, where is this feeling that I have coming from, and how that relates to, you know, my being given the ability to perceive meaning and purpose.
Yeah, thank you. I agree with you. Nobody wants to go into hellfire. That feeling also has been given to me, and as you said, it's a good question to ask. Where is this feeling coming from? That is what the feeling that is every human being who's conscious, is using his human abilities. Just like we can practice in this world, we don't want problems. We want to live in peace and harmony. This is a feeling also given for us in this world. Where did we get that feeling as well? And the same thing, like nobody wants to die. Like we have this feeling of preserving our life. Something happens, yeah, we go to go for a medicine or try to recover, try to get ourselves better. We go and find those, look for solutions. So that is how the human being is. So we are made, whoever designed us, whoever made us, must be a very wise one, a very conscious one, a very caregiving one. So we can see that, yeah, we are given all those kind of qualities. And at some point I think Brother Ali, you had your hand up. Would you like to continue, say something? If not, we can continue on.
Most of the things I want to say has already been stated by you, by Shahrani from this question, and also by Fariha. Just I may say, since you asked me, gave me the opportunity, let me speak. I may say the qualities, that human qualities we have, of course, we have to ask where they come from, but also why they are given to me. So as a conscious being, I question them. Why do I have so many qualities, endless qualities? For example, a man, the typical example, education example is the perfect example, actually. Simple, perfect, understandable. So thinking that our existence, the existence of the universe is a school, and we are students in the school of the universe. So in this school, we can learn all the disciplines, all the departments and their subdivisions, whatever they have. We can study there as much as we have time. Otherwise, it means we are able to learn everything in this world, whatever we can obtain until now, even more, because every day a new discipline is emerging in the education system. It means the human beings can learn this one as well. What does it mean? It is very simple. The shows that although I specialize one or two subjects only one in one or two subjects, but I know that if I had studied, I would have been able to understand that, appreciate what is really the meaning ingrained in the existence of the subject matter that this discipline has engaged itself. It means I'm deciphering the meaning of the creation. I'm able to do that as much as I can. But it means potentially I am. So that is why the word comprehensiveness of his disposition necessitates that I am a very important being, a cluster of different kinds of qualities I have. It means I can decipher potentially, I can decipher every meaning written, described within the existence of the universe. That meaning reflects the qualities of its author, the author of the universe, author of me too. So, author of the universe has ingrained in the creation all the qualities manifested in the way that he has written, if you like, quote unquote, written in the creation of the universe. And he has enabled me with the tools to decipher all the meanings that so that I can communicate with, uh, consciously communicate with, I will be aware of it, communicate with the author through all these qualities. It means me and my creator, we are going to have a communication between us through reading the book of his work, the universe. That is why I am very important in the eye of the creator, because as far as I am concerned, I don't mind about, I don't bother about thinking whether the ducks or the cats are, or the dogs are able to have the same comprehension. That is their responsibility. I don't really pay attention to it. I take the responsibility which lies on me, which I have to use my potentiality as much as I can in order to communicate with my creator as much as I can. But theoretically, in reality, I have the potentiality to communicate with my creator through all my feelings, all my abilities, and understand him, appreciate him, and also very important, to respond back to him. You are the all-powerful one. I understand. You are the all-knowledgeable one. I understand. I admit that. The knowledge ingrained in the existence of the universe, in this book of the universe, cannot belong to anything at all. They are all inanimate beings. At the end of the day, they are just made up of electrons, whatever, particles, whatever they call it. They have no consciousness, no knowledge, no ability at all. I'm aware of it. So really, the communication between me and the creator of the universe, therefore, my creator, can be established in its full sense. Even I cannot practice it, every quality to communicate with the creator, but potentially I am. I must admit that, and I must put it into practice as much as I can. That is why I am very important, if you like. As far as I am concerned, I understand that, oh, my creator has enabled me with these qualities, so I shouldn't be negligent of all these qualities, all these abilities, potentialities. I have to fulfill my duty because Through consciousness, I realize I am able. I can do that. If I don't, ah, that will be a dramatic thing for me. That will be a grave, that will bring a grave potential crime, if you like, because I am betraying my reality. Therefore, I am betraying the purpose of my creator. It is the biggest crime a person can ever attempt. So we have to be really careful about it. At least if I don't, I will say, as the description of the prophet, messenger of God says, I could not acknowledge you as much as you deserve to be. I admit that. That is also acceptable because we are created beings. After all, we cannot really fulfill all our potentialities as they deserve to be fulfilled. We have to admit it, then I am sure the Creator understands my shortcomings. So he will forgive it. That is what the messengers, the news that the messengers bring to us. If you cannot do it, at least admit it. Ask for forgiveness through confession or through repentance that I did something wrong. I neglected to establish the relationship with you, but please forgive me. I am an impotent man. I am a fallible man, whatever the language you use. Please forgive me for my mistakes, for my shortcomings. Thank you very much.
Alhamdulillah, thank you so much for sharing those comments. Yeah, as you mentioned also, there's a comment also about the communicating back through, and I'm conscious of it, aware of what the qualities that I'm given, and I can respond back, which is what the school of the universe is meant for me. I can use that, and all this, as Brother Lee mentioned about the comprehensiveness of the qualities that our human being has, and that he can respond back to each and every event, each and every thing that he is interacting with, he or she is interacting with. That is what that is the thing that makes the human being a true human being. And if I fail, potentially, as Brother Lee also, I think he pretty much touched upon all the topics of this third indication. On if I fail to do my job in school, for example, if I'm enrolled in a class and I don't take that, I don't really study for that class, I mean, I'm hurting myself. That is but in the portion of the opportunity, I'm missing out on the opportunity. I was just thinking about how the crime becomes of infinite proportions. All those tools, all those senses, all that comprehensiveness, which is given for a purpose, and I'm not using that for their purpose. I'm insulting, basically, instead of being grateful and thanking, acknowledging the one who is giving all these qualities, I'm not doing my part. And that is definitely worthy of, which is definitely a crime of infinite proportions, deserving infinite punishment. Because everybody gets, in this brief life, we all know that this is a very brief life. If you compare it to eternity, everybody is a candidate for eternity. But of course, as everybody, the comments have said, we don't want this eternal torment. We all want eternal bliss. So that makes us really important in terms of how we are working towards that eternal bliss. And in the school of the universe, that's what we have to do. Okay, so let's move on if anybody else has any comment. So there's a comment. Would you like to read your comment? Please go ahead.
I think it's interesting because usually we see committing a crime. We say committing a crime. Therefore, you have done a crime. You went out and you actively used your whole being, your body, your intentions, your emotions, everything to commit something to do something that was wrong. But it seems like in this case, it's saying, that the problem is that you did nothing as opposed to going out and doing something.
Yep, that's interesting. So there's a civilization crime, and then this is our humanity, crime of humanity, which the civilization doesn't have any say on it because it's all a personal thing. It's our personal journey. And by not using ourselves or not realizing who we are and what our purpose is, yeah, we are pretty much insulting the whole universe, which it becomes a crime. Because everybody else is worshiping. The plant is worshiping, the insect, the dogs, they're all doing their part in the way they are made. And human being who is made in a comprehensive fashion also needs to do his part as well. All right, so thank you for that. We can continue with the fourth indication. In the story, so the story that we read in the beginning of this 10th word, which was a comparison of belief and unbelief. So in the story, we saw by means of 12 aspects that a king who had one realm resembling a transient hospice must of a necessity have another realm, one eternal and permanent, manifesting his splendor and the sublimity of his power. In the same way, it is not at all possible that the eternal creator of the transient world should not create also an eternal realm. It is not possible that the everlasting maker of this fine but unstable cosmos should not create another cosmos, permanent and lasting. It is not possible, or is impossible, that the wise, powerful, and merciful creator of this world, which is like an exhibition, a school, or a testing ground, or a field, should not create also a hereafter in which the purposes of this world shall be made manifest. Entry is to be had to this truth by means of 12 gates, and the 12 gates are to be unlocked by means of 12 other truths. We will begin with the shortest and simplest of them. So then he goes, I think, with the different 12 truths. So here in this fourth indication, I mean, we've been discussing the need for another realm. And just like the example that Brother Ali used about the school, if you go to the school and there's no future for you after graduating from school, if there is no, like, you don't go into a professional life, then what's the point of going to school? Isn't that interesting? So in the same way, like all this living in this world, what's the point if there is no, after graduating, after going through death, there is no other life? Just like, for example, a baby in the womb of a mother, the world of the baby is in the womb of the mother. And on birth, it's like the death from the womb, and the baby gets out into this world. right? So if there was no such thing as if the, somebody just it stays in the womb and dies there, then what's the point of living? So our purpose of existence here, there must be another realm as well. Definitely there must be. It must be. So it's like, it would seem, I could say it's impossible that there should not be. Otherwise, why am I given this comprehensive nature? Somebody would like to say something? Sharani family, you're unmuted.
No, please continue. It was an accident.
No worries. Thank you. Aishanur, you have a comment. Would you like to talk about it?
Assalamu alaikum. This is more so in terms of the third indication, what the sister had written. I was just reflecting on her thoughtful comment, and I think, committing the crime of disbelief or unbelief is not. I'm not sure if the correct analogy would be to say it's not. It's that they did nothing, right? In terms of my existence in this universe, I'm always responding in one way or another. Either I say that something does have meaning and that there is a meaningful inscription there for me, or I say that no, this is not meaningful and it's just random or arbitrary. So I would say that unbelief is more of actively denying, covering up the reality of creation, even if I don't always think that there's something to be covered up. I don't think I'm not sure actually if it's possible to be passive in terms of anything in the world as I experience it. I always have one form of reaction to it, and either I attribute it correctly to its source of existence, or I attribute it to certain causes or to certain so-called natural laws, or to one thing or another. So I always have some sort of interpretation that I make upon the world. And this either takes me to the light of belief or to the crime of unbelief. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So at every moment we are making choices. So not to make a choice is also a choice, basically. That's how I understood it. So either I choose actively or I choose not to act, which is another choice. And as Aishan kind of beautifully put it about the passivity, that's always we are engaging with it, we are concluding and coming to something. So not doing is also something that, is a choice that we engage with. Yeah, so going...
Just responding to that, my emphasis was more on how we have a personal responsibility to seek meaning, and how when we don't use our potential in that way, that we are, we're not being active with our skill set that God has given us.
Yep, thank you. Yeah, any other comment or anyone would like to say anything?
Yeah, so I think not being active with the skill set that I'm given is also like the interpretation side of it, because I'm given the ability to interpret things the way they ought to be interpreted. So if I'm not doing so, then yes, I'm definitely contradicting my reality, and hence, just like the author said, it's like a crime, pretty much, interpreting it not the way things ought to be.
Mm-hmm. So we are made to be worshipers in a way, like by using all the things that we are given. It is incumbent upon us to be, by default, we are worshipers, but then it's our choice. Either we go away, like distance ourselves, or engage with that. the way we are, that state. And that is, I think, also the point of the fourth indication also, that all this, this school and living in the school of the universe and engaging with it, and there must be a difference between somebody who engages, actively uses, and somebody who chooses not to. I mean, let's say a student who goes to school and one student who is studying and doing his homework and, studying for what he needs to succeed, and the other one ignores it. We see that there is that justice in terms of the student who doesn't study, has to repeat or misses out on a lot of things. So there is a difference. The teacher cannot say, hey, these are, they're all equally fine. So there's a good distinction that is between someone who engages and someone who doesn't. And it is not possible that the everlasting maker of this fine but unstable cosmos, this is ever changing. All these changes are happening. Should not create another cosmos that is permanent and lasting. So it must be so. It is not possible that the wise, powerful, and merciful creator of this world, which is like an exhibition, should not also create a hereafter in which the purposes of the world shall be made manifest. I think we spoke quite a lot on these points. Okay, so if Brother Ali would like to comment, please go ahead.
I still keep thinking about the first indication as connected to the fourth indication. Of course, there are many ways of connecting the third and the fourth indications to each other. The phrase says here, beginning of the sentence, because unbelief seeks to drag creation, something meaningless and purposelessness. Now, it is very interesting if a student goes to the class or sits in this class or registered with the education system, whatever it is, let's say the college, he's a student in the college, either doesn't attend the class or attends the class and never pays attention to the teacher, professor, and says it is meaningless. I mean, jungle talking about nonsense things, ignores the professor. And then years pass in the school of the universe, and then the graduation day arrives, and the administration says you have no degree, zero. You failed completely. Okay, get out of this place. And this means, I want to have, I have to appreciate it because I have nothing now. I'm out of the education system. I have nothing. Sorry, it is too late. Already the graduation ceremony is gone and everybody is giving his degree and you failed. This man says, why school is punishing me? Why is it it is punishing me? He's not giving me any opportunity to learn anything of the knowledge that the professors used to present. Accusing him. That looks like the complaint we hear now from the people who doesn't want to submit to their reality in their existence, looks for an excuse that God, Why does God punish his creatures? Well, but does he punish really? Look, he's going to throw me into hell. No, you are going to hell because you prefer not to study, not to learn. You insulted the professor sitting in the class and saying that, this man is speaking nonsense, meaningless. Everything is happening by itself. What is he trying to teach me? He doesn't have any knowledge. Now, after graduation, you say that the professor is not sharing his knowledge with me. Of course, it is. Everything is done now. The school is over. The education system is over for you. So you are not going to be a student anymore. You already failed. And the professor is not going to share his knowledge with you. He's not going to accept you in his class anymore. You insulted him enough by not listening and saying that this is meaningless things, accusing them. That is exactly what an unbeliever is doing in this world. He's saying, the author of this book, of the universe, nonsense, meaningless. Everything is happening accidentally. Come on, what are you talking about? A knowledge or something. After the graduation, I need the knowledge of the professor. Excuse me, it is too late. You had 60, 80, 100 years of age in the school. You paid no attention and kept insulting the speech delivered to you through the creation of the universe. That is why the creation was, or the speech education system was by you put in a very meaningless jumble of things, accidents. Now you are left with accidents, not with the knowledge of the professor. That is the deprivation after graduation. The person who denies the education system in this universe, he doesn't use his ability to understand what the professor is teaching and appreciating it, insulting the class, insulting the universe, ends up with what? Deprivation of it. No knowledge of the professor is going to be delivered to him. It means the very basic word we use, no mercy of the professor, the establisher of the universe, which is the creator of the universe, is going to be delivered to this person. It is and just action, treatment. This man deserves not to have anything at all. Not to have anything in the hereafter. Why? Because he denied and insulted the professor throughout his 60 years of education. Denied completely. And all the speech is in his behavior treated as something trash, garbage. Now he is left with garbage. When God is getting angry and Muslim God is always threatening people for hell, punishment, severe punishment, of course. He says, if you don't listen, if you don't learn, you will graduate with no knowledge whatsoever. You will remain ignorant. That is what the most dangerous consequence of one's life in this school of the universe. That is the most unbearable thing for a student. After graduation day, he realizes that he doesn't have any degree. He knows nothing. Now he is in the real life, not being able to do anything, not to perform any profession at all. He learned nothing. he insulted the education system by not learning there, by not accepting that this is an education system. That is why we have to be very careful while saying that why God uses so severe language in his message, so-called prophetic message. It says he is an angry God. He always threatens people with punishment. But that is your end, man. You have chosen it. God is doing nothing. Just keeps, God keeps teaching, keeps teaching. Class is ever going on. You deprived yourself of his knowledge. Now you are ignorant. As you prefer, you have no knowledge, nothing at all, no virtue anymore in real life. That is hell. Hell is the place where human beings deserves. That's what the Quran says. If you don't learn, you learn nothing. You will be ignorant. If you try to learn, professor teaches you even more, multiplies his knowledge by 700 thousands of times because he is the source of absolute knowledge. We have to understand that hell is nothing but the result of human choice. Not that God is angry. No, God treats everybody in a just way. The professor, if you learn the best way, he gives you the best honorary degree. If you don't learn anything, he gives you F. That is justice on the side of the professor, and those people who don't learn anything denies the education while being in the university, and they they are treated just as well because they prefer to be ignorant, and they are ignorant. They remain ignorant. What's wrong with it? Where is injustice? Where is angry God? Whatever the university doesn't give you degree if you fail. This is an angry university. Angry college administration? No, he is a just administration. That is why in the next creation, after the graduation, everybody will be treated permanently. The education system is closed now for you. I mean, that is your choice. Either listen to these warnings or not. That is up to you. This is a perfect justice. Nothing to do with God's angriness or being angry. No, it is just the human understanding really appreciates this justice. Thank you.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Ryan, would you like to share anything? I see you have a comment up.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. I was just deeply struck as you were speaking, and also as Dr. Lee was speaking, at the beautiful resonance of this metaphor. In my own life, I had a dear friend who had been going through a lot of issues, and he, for a variety of reasons, just ended up, failing out of class, and by non-attendance. And I knew the professor was reaching out to him, and many of us who were his friends were reaching out to him, expressing our concern, because we knew he was an intelligent student, and he was unfortunately just going through some very difficult periods in his life. But ultimately, he was not able to see that all of the professor's emails to him, all of his friends reaching out to him, we were all trying to sort of get him to see that you have this opportunity now to learn and to get your degree, and to get back on track towards your degree. But unfortunately, he wasn't able to take that opportunity. And so I was struck as you were speaking and Dr. Ali was speaking that I could relate to it on a very direct level from someone in my own life, and very similarly to the metaphor, of course, for the the atheist soul that is then outraged at the destination of hell. or a disbelieving soul in this life, which is in some ways experiencing that separation from God in this life. This friend, was very outraged when we all graduated, and he was sort of, left having failed out of the institution, and he began, sort of blaming everyone else but himself, and and finally one of my friends said to him, well, we were always hoping you would take this opportunity to come back and to learn and to finish with us, but I'm not sure if he ever learned that lesson. But I think of all of the chronic allegories here, this to me is one of the most profound, because in this sense, I don't see God as this wrathful, angry divinity when there are these various warnings about hell, but rather God is this ultimately deeply loving and caring teacher or professor who loves for his students, in this case, to learn, and he desires them to come to know him and to come to understand the purpose behind and the greater meaning of the universe. And it's as though in today's context you have a professor who is repeatedly emailing a student who has just stopped showing up to class, and hoping very much that student will come back. But of course, unfortunately, that decision, as it were, is on an active level ultimately rests with the student. They can choose to come back or not when it comes to the learning process. And so I think that was a very beautiful metaphor. I deeply appreciated it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan, as well, for sharing your comment as well. I mean, the examples that we get it's a learning for us as well. As the one you shared is a beautiful example for me to learn also how, everything that we are engaging with, we are encountering is a message that is coming from us, from the Lord of the universe, as you also mentioned about him being the actual teacher, and everything else being the means for our learning, everything in the universe, even the things that we don't see, but ultimately they are. That's what we need to realize, that we are always a student, as in going along with the metaphor in the universe. So we need to know what a student, what that means. And then we need to realize that this place is a learning place, a school, which, if we have the attitude of, hey, I know, there's no worries, I'm always in the know, I know more than many other people, then there's no learning. So that was a beautiful analogy. That is a very real analogy that you can see as yourself, in terms of how every moment is a means of communicating with your source of existence, the one who is giving you. So even if it's something I'm perceiving is not good, but it's included, it's part of the learning for me. And
Absolutely.
our responsibility is definitely to respond back. Hey, if I'm in a terrible situation, hey, God, please, I'm in this situation, I'm hurting, please get me out of this. I know you can, because you are the one who is, the one who orders and arranges the whole universe. That's the beautiful communication mechanism that gets established. Yeah, Ryan, go ahead.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much. I just wanted to say that really in everything that you just said, there's this tremendous freedom given to us. And I think that, as I was listening to you and Dr. Ali, what I'm struck by is that the ultimate sort of ingratitude of, the student who has been expelled, or in this case, an atheist who has come to this, the end of things, the teleological end of his or her earthly life, and is confronted with this reality of this separation or estrangement from that which they never valued in the first place. Is, on one level, there's sort of an entitlement complex where the person expects that all of the sort of the rules or the guide or the lessons in the teaching that applied to everyone else, somehow doesn't apply to them. And so there's this ultimate sense that they expect an eternal sort of fairness or condescension, a coming down, as it were, a forgiving from the authority, whether it's the teacher in the classroom, quite literally, or it's ultimately God. But then on the other hand, they sort of paradoxically view themselves as somehow above the rules that bind, all other people. And whether they're students or it's humanity in general. So I think that ties into the ultimate Quranic exhortation again and again, not to be arrogant, and that disbelief itself is ultimately a mark of, on one level, ignorance, but then in another way, it can be thought of as a marker of arrogance.
Yep, thank you. Beautifully said, Ryan. Thank you so much for that. And that's what the analogy of the student and the analogy as a human being. I mean, if you look at ourselves, all these things they are given. That's the important aspect. And what is the entitlement there when I am made in this way? Whatever is actually given by the one who has made me. It's not that I deserved to be the way I am made, or the intelligence, my eyes, the whatever, it has been given to me. It's just a gift. And that's what I have to be responsive to. But that was beautiful. Thank you again. And any final comments before we close the session for today?
Oh, no, thank you. That was very beautiful. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you as well, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma'alamtana. Innaka antal alimul hakim. Glory be unto you. We have no knowledge except that which you have taught us. Indeed, you're all knowledgeable, all wise. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil